I'm Lou. This is Kevin.
Hey guys, we are joined by Shawn today.
What's up, dudes?
I'm a little scared
A little scared.
to be sitting across the table from him after yesterday, but
Sorry.
it's all right.
What did he do to you?
We were playing a casual little drinking game, and Shawn executed a perfect form tackle on me out in the driveway.
You savage.
It was nice.
Yeah, man. As the competitive spirit's going with a mixture of alcohol, it gets a little crazy.
Jesus,
It was-
that's bullying.
It's called Boom
Unintentional,
or
man.
Beer Ball. The game you have 2 beer cans on the end of the table.
No.
Or as our friend liked to call it, booze ball.
Booze
I like that little
Ball.
term.
Booze Ball. You've been playing the Booze Ball?
I've never heard of it. How do you play it?
Have you really not?
I've never heard of it.
It's just you put 2 full cans on the end of each table.
Okay.
So you and I are on the same team. When I throw, if I hit the can, you would have to chug your drink
Okay.
while the other team chases down the ball, and when they bring it back to the table, you have to stop drinking.
Okay.
First team to run out of beers wins. Each person has
So you gotta
one beer.
you gotta skip it off the table.
You have to throw it. You have to hit one of the other team's cans.
Okay.
So then once you're finished with your can, it comes off the table. So then it becomes like 2-on-1.
So where does them coming in chasing the ball?
After it bounces off the can.
Oh, so you just
goes
let it bounce
wherever.
off the can, but it has to hit a can?
You don't let it. Yeah, the goal is for you to throw it at a can, and if you hit the can, the
You have
other
to
team.
chug from that.
Yeah, so the other team stands behind the table and you try to catch it. But
Okay.
We were playing outside,
Oh, shit.
and I threw one that ricocheted and it bounced right back at me, and I tried to get out of Shawn's way as he tripped, and
Oh.
boom! It was. I wish we filmed about 5 hours of MMA fights last night, and
The one point you didn't have a camera on.
that moment, yeah, the one point the camera was turned off.
You had one job to do.
We could have had a special 13th bout,
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
DVD only.
I would love to just watch it because I was so messed up, man. It'd have been nice to get a recap just to see how wasted I was.
I would have slapped Glory Days on the little edit.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
That's crazy.
so that's why I've got you sitting between the two of us tonight
I understand.
as we debate all things NBA, talk a little draft. Shawn's got a little dossier over there of some notes. I can't wait to see what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
gonna
talk a little conspiracy. I hope you got some notes on that.
not much notes, but I just kind of got some in the mind.
All right.
Spurt out, squirt all over you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
Come on.
That's
I like it.
Come on.
Speaking
feel
of-
violated.
Since you went ahead and mentioned it, what was your NBA draft moment that made you squirt?
Got me excited. I would have to say, me liking the Suns as a Western Conference team. I really liked that they moved up because they picked number 4 overall. They got Dragan Bender, power forward / center, 7'1" dude from Croatia. Solid pick. But they also had I want to say the 13th. It was either the 13th or the 12th pick, and they traded it up to the Kings for the 8th pick, and also picked up Marquise Chris from Washington. He was a power forward. Dude's like 18, 6'10", 7-foot wingspan, which is amazing. He's like a freak athlete. The dude flies all over the court. I don't know if you've seen any highlights, but he had some really nasty plays when they were doing right before the tournament. He was playing, I want to say St. John's, I believe, or it was Long Beach State, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, dude had a freaky block off the backboard. It's just, he's got potential, bottom line. So I was really excited about that pickup. Granted, they did pick 2 people who have very similar skill sets and play damn near the same position, but it adds a little competition, which is never a bad thing in the NBA.
Yeah.
So to be able to duke that out, and hopefully with picking 2 of the same position, one of them will at least become a starter, you know what I'm saying? And the other one can be a role player, if not anything. So I'm excited about that pick, man. I thought that was pretty cool. I was happy to see the Suns be able to execute some much needed stuff. So
Because
It's a rebuilding time.
you don't like your other boys' pick.
No,
Celtics, right?
I don't. Yeah, I love my Celtics, but I was not happy with the draft this year, man, for them. They got Jaylen Brown, which not knocking the guy, but he's a good player. I just don't feel like that's what they should have drafted. They got Jay Crowder, who's a small forward as well as Jaylen Brown. Jay Crowder is a budding star. Like, that guy is just getting better and better season by season, so I don't see why. And they have Evan Turner as a backup, which isn't great, but he's a backup.
He's also not guaranteed. I believe he's a restricted free agent. He still has to be re-signed.
He is. You're right.
So there's that to keep in mind.
But there are also a lot of small forwards hitting free agency. So I felt like they could have picked maybe a veteran role player instead of wasting a third overall pick on a position that you don't really need another potential star when you already have Jay Crowder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you're actually the
deal.
first person I've heard say Jay Crowder is a potential star. I don't necessarily disagree with you. It's just the dialogue I've been hearing is that the Celtics won a lot with very little last year. And where I think they were unfortunate is, so to me, my big moment in the draft outside of any trades, because favorite team-wise, my draft pick this year as a Pacers fan was Thaddeus Young. I mean, we traded our number 20 pick away for somebody who will help now, which I like seeing because that with the Jeff Teague trade shows that they're going for something.
Right.
But anyway, to me, the best pick, the best moment of the draft was Chris Dunn.
Yes.
Going to Minnesota, because that is who I believed going into that night, and still after the draft, I still believe that in 3 years when we look back, he's going to be the best player out of this draft class. And I think that if Isaiah Thomas weren't the Celtics' best player, then they could have went in that direction. But it's one of those things. It's like, why take what you already, you know what I mean? You don't need to add to his strength.
Right.
When you have other voids that you could fill. But I agree with you. I felt that this was such a weak draft class, to be honest. That you weren't going to get a star outside of maybe the first 2 or 3 picks.
Yeah.
And I think Minnesota lucked out because you guys, I'm sure, heard about this. Minnesota was trying, especially you, Lou, as a Bulls fan, Minnesota was offering Ricky Rubio and that number 5 pick to the Bulls for Jimmy Butler until Dunn slid to 5, and then they just decided to keep him for themselves because they just were that high on him.
Right.
And so, yeah, but besides that, man, I just was not – there's not a lot – I think there's going to be a lot of really good role players in this draft.
Yeah.
It's not going to come down as one of the. I feel like there's a
solid
lot
class.
of Nick Collison and Kirk Heinrichs in this draft. You know, guys that are going to play in the league somewhere. 4 to 8 solid years. They might rotate around, but we're going to have some good players. And there's always some surprises.
That's how I was feeling about Denzel Valentine going to the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Denzel. I think he's a good player.
And yeah, I know you do.
For them.
I think so too. I mean, and that's, with Derrick Rose coming off the season that he had, and you having him switched out with Jerry and Grant.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, Grant played for almost half the time that Rose did. He put up almost the same numbers.
Yeah.
That's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
And that's, and then you have him going with Denzel Valentine, which is a kid that went to college. Mm-hmm. He's a seasoned player at this point.
4-year starter, man.
Yeah.
Yep. And we saw how well we've seen how well some of those guys pan out that you don't necessarily expect. Like, for instance, I don't think, and this gets argued back and forth, looking back on it on draft night, I was a big Draymond Green fan in college. He was another one of those experienced guys. Did not think, and I thought he was just going to be like, okay, here's a guy who's going to be a great role player for somebody, a great 3-4 hybrid, decent stretch 4 when you play small ball. And he was able to develop. Sometimes stay in those extra couple years. I mean,
makes a difference.
You have a solid enough foundation where it's easier for you to expand your game.
Right.
Because you're so confident in your fundamentals. And learning from a guy like Tom Izzo in his situation, I can't imagine too many more NBA-ready guys than guys that play at Michigan State for 2 to 3 years.
Right.
I mean, there's a couple other coaches, obviously, you can throw in there, but
fair enough. Thus, you also learn so much more of the coach's perspective when you go to play for college.
Yeah, and I think if you stay 1 year, I don't. So much of that has to be just adjusting. But speaking of your boys, your boys, the Bulls, and their blockbuster trade to the Knicks with you, because you mentioned him already, and I've had this picture hanging up on the screen. Wow, I wanted it to be up long enough to be the first option for a thumbnail because I like this. This has been entertaining me all week.
New York Knickerbockers,
because if I've never read a meme before and thought, well, this explains exactly how I feel right now. Half the time, they are funny, right? But I was like, that is the funniest way to put the New York Knicks situation is Derrick Rose at this stage in his career, if by himself, let's pretend everything in the NBA as it is right now stays the same, or at the very least, they don't do enough to land a big free agent. And there's rumors that Jamal Crawford wants to go back to the Knicks, and he was the sixth man of the year last year, but he's also 36. So there's no guarantee that he produces at that level again for them. And even if he does, I don't think Jamal Crawford adding to this new big three in New York is enough to make that big of a difference. But do either of you guys think, will Derrick Rose maybe be rejuvenated? Will we see the old Derrick Rose?
They could be playoff contenders, maybe. It depends on how well those three people can transition and play as a team.
Okay, all right.
That's the biggest obstacle you got to overcome. I think what helped Cleveland this year was you didn't have two different divas. The problems that they had last year were smoothed out this last season. You see what I'm saying? For the most part. And
I think this has a different bench. X's and O's wise.
Right.
But before, I want to see what Shawn thinks. So you think they'll be in the playoffs?
Yeah, they could be. They have potential for it.
I'll say quickly, in the Eastern Conference, I do think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, you figure Derrick Rose played the playoffs how many years in a row with the Bulls? This was last year. This is the first year they didn't in a while.
But you also think of the last 2 years, they basically did it without Derrick Rose, the 2 years before that. But so, Shawn, do you think they'll be a playoff team?
No, I don't. And the reason being is I don't think they have enough pieces, man. They got Derrick Rose, who may be rejuvenated in New York. I hope he does because I like Derrick Rose a lot. I loved him in Memphis. He played for Coach Calipari, and I followed his career, early, and I thought he was going to be a star, and which he was. But the last few years have just been really unfortunate for him, and I'm hoping him the best, and I'd like to see him kick some butt in New York, dude. But that's the other part of me. It's like I don't really think it's going to happen.
Is he getting too old for it?
Well, he just can't stay healthy, man.
Yeah.
Can't
bounce back.
And the Eastern Conference is not a joke as far as physicality goes, dude. Them dudes play hard, man. And Melo, same thing with Melo.
Bulls is a very physical team.
Right, and Melo's hard. He's getting older, and I don't even think Melo is the same Melo anymore. So I don't really think Porzingis, honestly, is probably, in my opinion, on New York, probably the most promising player they have. I think they should build on him. I think they should go ahead and play out these contracts. Once Melo is up, I would say bye to Melo if I was the GM of the Knicks. I'd say, thank you, have a great life. And not be so rude, you know what I mean? I show him respect. The dude's a star. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, hands down.
Right.
But I think it's time to move on, man.
You wouldn't actively pursue him.
Right. It's time to move on. And same with Derrick Rose. Keep him for these however long they sign him. I don't know what his contract is, but keep him, let him play it out. But just be looking for someone to maybe be under his wing and, develop under him and then try to build that way. That's what I would do.
Okay. Well, keep in mind. So I guess I'll answer my own question real quick and say I align with Lou where they're going to make the playoffs because it's the East and it's a little top heavy out there. But I see them as a 6 to 8 seed, losing the first round in 6 games because I don't see how Derrick Rose and Carmelo Anthony play very well together if they're both playing the same style of game that they've played this point in their careers. When they come together, you're going to have 2 ball dominant players that don't really do work off of screens, or these are 2 guys that break down their individual one-on-one. So you're going to have a really, at times, stagnant offense because the offense will be get it to Melo or get it to Rose. And basically whoever the ball is inbounded to will be taking the shot with 6 seconds left on the shot clock. You're going to see 18 seconds of dribbling at the top of the key, trying to break somebody down.
Right.
And when the shots aren't going down, what do you turn to off that? That's maybe when you get it to Porzingis, but you're going to need one of these guys to swallow their pride, and it's going to be hard enough to get them to share the ball with each other.
Right.
Now, so when I say that, I bring up one thing to you guys to think about because this Derrick Rose thing is intriguing me. I know we didn't plan on spending this long on the Knicks, but I have one thing that came into my mind while you were talking about him is Derrick Rose off injury, is he going to be old man-wise, is he going to be Vince Carter or is he going to be Jason Kidd? Because I think those are 2 guys I think of that were dominant athletically, or even Grant Hill once he finally made it back to Phoenix. You can look at it this way also. Is he going to be Orlando Grant Hill or Phoenix Grant Hill? Is he going to learn the craft and become a better sharpshooter? And is he going to be a playmaker? Or, because in Vince Carter's case, he basically just became a new spot up. He became like a poor man's Ray Allen. He just was shooting threes at this point.
Right.
Whereas Jason Kidd still could get you a triple-double even though he could barely jump off the floor.
Right.
He became a much better – early in his career, he's not a good outside shooter whatsoever. He was penetrating, but he still could get rebounds because he was smart. He was the smartest guy out there. Derrick Rose still has the years left in him if he applies it. He's smart enough, I think. He has enough basketball IQ.
He needs to evolve and mature his game.
Yeah.
And play and learn to evolve his strategy around his different strengths over time.
Yeah. Plenty of guys play below the rim. So I think if we see maybe a different Derrick Rose, this could maybe work. I still think they're a piece away. This, though, what entices me or intrigues me about this, I was about to say speaking of, and that's why I stopped myself, Lou. I had to bring it up after my little stutter thing there.
Fair enough.
This move was made, apparently, Phil Jackson said this was something to try to entice Kevin Durant to come.
Oh, wow.
Which is...
I could see that.
There were 2 reasons I wanted to talk about this so much. One was you're a Bulls fan, and I know that this affects what your team's going to do in the future, Lou. And 2 was we can't do a basketball podcast and not talk about Kevin Durant and what we think he's going to do.
If Durant goes to the Warriors, I think it's a guaranteed title next year. Just my thoughts. If he goes to the Knicks, playoff berth. Probably lose around the midway through playoffs.
I don't see Durant going to the Knicks at all.
I
don't think that's –
I think he wants to play with Curry.
Well, he wants to play somewhere where he can win a ring.
That too.
He is tired of, trying – he pretty much wants a guarantee. So he's either going to stay in OKC because they damn near got there this year, or he's going to go to Golden State or San Antonio. That's just what I think, man. I don't see him going to any franchise that's in the
That's not, yeah.
He doesn't want to rebuild. He wants to win. So I don't see that happen for the Knicks.
I think it's Golden State.
Yeah. Honestly, I think he's going to stay at OKC this year. And then maybe next year he'll either – because Russell Westbrook, who will also be a free agent next year, them dudes are pretty tight. So they might, get together, figure something out to do together. They might, if they do leave, they might try to go to the same team because who the hell wouldn't want both of them? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's one thing to get Durant, but if you can get Durant and Westbrook, yeah, you're gonna clear some cap space for that. Yeah, you're gonna make that happen, dude. So
you're gonna do some damage, and that's I think Durant going to the Warriors is that guaranteed ring.
Yeah.
100%.
Because I do not see Cleveland.
Steph Curry and company make it happen. You know, this is 2 years in a row they went to the championships.
Yeah.
Best season ever.
Yeah.
You know, they had a beautiful run, and you know, Cavs pulled it off at the last. You know, I shouldn't say last minute, but when it counted.
Yeah.
They stepped up, made some moves.
Yeah.
Like I do see Golden State. I really do feel like they're a dynasty. And I think they're going to do whatever it takes to keep that going. And Steph and Klay Thompson are both still pretty young.
Right.
So they're definitely going to make it happen for Golden State. Klay just signed like a 5-year deal. So he's locked in for the next 5. And Steph, I think, is coming up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're going to try to stay. This Splash Brothers thing, they don't want to let that go.
No. That's money.
Yeah.
That's money. You know, that's when you have a successful nickname like that for a pro athlete, that's money.
Right.
The recognizable Splash Brothers. And I think if Durant goes there, they'll be called the Super Smash Brothers. Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. The Super Smash Brothers. That's a game I think they could run on fools all day and all night. That's especially if they get the mechanics of the actual team workout.
Right.
I mean, they already have the system set up at the Warriors for success. It's a proven system, and it's just, you know, putting your aces in their places.
Yeah. They're going to have some holes to fill. Like they're not keeping everybody.
Nobody's perfect.
Right.
Nobody's perfect. But they can be perfect enough.
Yeah, I agree. They're definitely going to keep some key players, but they're also going to lose some.
Yeah.
Andrew Bogut's probably gone. Iguodala's probably going to leave. And Iguodala is arguably their best defensive player as far as like smaller players go. You know, he's not, you know, the size of a center, but he's also, it's just, dude, that dude is such a good player. Like, I love watching him play defensively because he's like everything you would want in a defensive player, in my opinion. That dude is a ball hawk, man. Like he will get the ball for you if you need him to. So
right.
He locked down some really good people. Like he doesn't just guard shitty players. Like he'll like lock down damn near anyone. So I mean,
yeah. Well, that's
too, so.
You know, the defense speaks for itself.
Right.
Getting that record last year.
Yeah.
You know.
Are we ready to move on?
Well, no, not quite yet. I was waiting for a second. I don't know if you guys saw the article that I put up here for a second because there's one other team. According to sources, the only 2 teams that have a chance to take him away are the Warriors and the Heat.
Yeah.
Wow.
And oh wow was my reaction too because there's no guarantee that the Heat can keep Hassan Whiteside. So this whole Hassan Whiteside courtship by the Lakers and also by the Warriors as a backup plan, as shown over here on this article I'm pulling up there. As a backup plan, they're talking to Al Horford, Joakim Noah, and also Hassan Whiteside. So there's no guarantee that he stays there, but, you know, is playing with Dwayne Wade and Dragic, you know, that could be enticing enough. I think the only way to get him to leave is to try to convince him that it's not, because I just think he's too much of a competitor.
Whiteside?
No, sorry, Durant. Going back to Durant, I don't see him going anywhere because I think he's too much of a competitor. He doesn't want to join up with a basically already stacked team. Now, that sort of plays into this article that we saw earlier, right before we were talking about this. We were looking things up where the Warriors think that losing the finals has improved their chances of signing Durant because they would have had no chance. There's no way, even at a max deal, I don't see Kevin Durant going to play for back-to-back champs. True. You can't really have any sort of legacy if you just joined a team that already had won and had just broken the regular season record and won a title. you know.
But he doesn't necessarily want to build from scratch either. Yeah.
Right. Well, but the Thunder have it, and see, and that when we talk about the trade that the Thunder made, because that was the one last thing I wanted to show you guys a little video. I think it's about time we tested those waters to see how that records over here. Anyway, I have a wide. I don't want Showtime. What is that? Anyway, here we go.
Buy it into the zeitgeist.
So the trade, just to remind you, was the Magic traded Oladipo, Ilyasova, and the rights to Sabonis for Serge Ibaka from the Thunder, their power forward. So they get a great defensive shooting guard. They get a decent backup stretch four, who's at least a stretch four. Serge has said that, no more fake four. But so I want you guys to hear this, what Colin Cowherd here said about the Thunder making that trade.
And I believe this morning. I absolutely believe this morning, and I'll say it. John, are you taping? Are you taping right now? Oklahoma City will be next year's NBA champion.
Right?
Boom.
Heard it right there.
Boom, boom, bang, bang, dude.
That dude knows his shit.
Yeah. And I wanted to play the whole clip, but I don't want to get us into any trouble.
Right.
I didn't do my full research. I thought, 12, 13 seconds couldn't hurt. But he predicted it'll be Thunder over Warriors in the Western Conference and Cavs over Pacers in the Eastern Conference, which made me very happy just to think of the Pacers getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I'll post a link in the description for anybody who wants to actually hear everything that he said. I don't feel great playing a whole minute and 20 seconds of it.
Yeah.
And we've already retweeted it. That's from our feed.
Perfect.
From us retweeting it, because it was a funny thing to hear. I don't know.
It's a bold statement.
Exactly.
It's a very bold statement. That's like saying the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl.
No, I mean, that's not nearly that bold.
Yeah.
The Thunder, if this was all, now, to keep it in context, this was assuming that Kevin Durant would stay, because he spends the rest of the message convincing Kevin Durant, like, you need to stay here. This is the best situation for you, because they have two good post players in Cantor and Adams, so they didn't really need Ibaka very much. They got something that they needed, because Deion Waiters is not the answer at shooting guard.
No.
And they got a guy who, if you don't want to start two centers, you got Ilyasova, who I guess can be serviceable depending on how much money's left after you sign Durant. If you sign Durant, it's...
Yeah, Ilyasova's pretty expensive, I know he usually has some pretty...
I don't think it's too much. If anything, Oladipo is the more expensive one, but I don't know. It'll be Durant that's the expensive one in this scenario. I think they all others will pale in comparison.
That's cool.
And so off season wise, I guess because I'm chomping at the bit to get to the interesting side of it, the sort of like, I'll call it extracurriculars of what we're talking about. I did have one more sort of scenario at least to pitch to you guys, and then I was just going to open it up to you if there's anything that we haven't covered yet that you wanted to cover. The Cavs, what, if anything, are they going to do? Because they're not in the running for KD, so are they going to have to do something? Or are they going to sit and wait to see what happens with Durant? J.R. Smith declined his offer or his option. So that's one player they're down. I mean, what did you guys think of if you were Cavs GM right now? What would your plan be?
If I was the Cavs GM right now, honestly, trying to keep the core together.
So you just keep the big three and just add whatever pieces.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron James is happy. I think Kevin Love is happy, and Kyrie is pretty happy.
Well, I mean, championships tend to do that.
They definitely do. They definitely do. I mean, this was 2 years in the making, and I think I think they're seeing the benefit of playing as a team. That's all three of them shined really throughout the playoffs for the most part. The first two games were really, really rough, but once they got their thing together, they came back and did something nobody's ever done before.
Yeah. So okay. So what do you think, Shawn? Is that your move too?
No.
No? You don't want to do it that way?
No. If I was in charge at Cleveland, I would trade Kevin Love to, and I'm not just saying this because they're my boys, but it makes sense. I would trade them to the Celtics because they need a power forward. Solly is probably not going to come back. So trade Kevin Love to them for Avery Bradley. He's a pretty good, solid shooting guard. Celtics don't necessarily have they could probably put, Terry Rozier up there, the shooting guard for a little bit, maybe until they get a better option. But Kevin Love could probably do some damage in Boston. You know what I mean? So I'm not a huge fan of him, but I think he would be a little better in their scheme, and then playing second fiddle to LeBron and Kyrie and Cleveland. And Cleveland has Tristan Thompson, man, so they could easily put him in Kevin's spot and put Timothy Mozgov back in the
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think they should put him back up there, man, at the 5 spot, man. I think he shined last year, man. I don't really
not this year.
He wasn't given a chance, man. I never really saw him get opportunity to do anything. I felt like they just kind of pushed him to the side, out of nowhere, dude. I didn't even see him play this year. What was that about?
I didn't watch the Cavs religiously this year, but I was under the impression that he had earned his spot on the bench early in the season, that he wasn't doing enough. I mean, the other thing about the Cavs, they don't have a terribly deep rotation. I mean, it's not to say that they don't have a good bench. Clearly they do. That we saw that. But what I mean to say is they play maybe 8 or 9 guys. So, for instance, in the finals, Tristan Thompson in one game played 44 minutes at power forward. And they had Varejao for a good part of the season too. So, he was a guy who was hurt the year before, which is part of the, in and out, part of the reason Mozgov even saw the floor. So I don't know if he would be the answer. So wait, so you're then, I want to hear this because I want to compare your starting 5 to what Lou's would be in my head. So give me the starting 5.
Kyrie at the point.
Mm-hmm.
Avery Bradley at the 2. That's good, assuming they would trade Kevin Love. And I would put at the 3. I didn't think about the 3.
So you're playing LeBron at the 4.
No. I play LeBron at the 3.
Okay.
And then have Tristan Thompson at the 4. Timothy Mozgov at the 5. I'm losing my way of talking.
It's Timothy.
Shut up.
Timothy.
Man.
Son. All right. Okay. So.
And then try to pick up some free agents this offseason, maybe to fill in some bench seats.
Yeah.
And then maybe experiment too in the offseason. If you pick up some people off the free agency market that could potentially start, maybe be better starters than what you have. I mean, I'm open to suggest. I just really feel like Kevin Love should go. He's got his ring that he always wanted. I feel like he should just go, start fresh, because I don't see them repeating, dude. I just don't think it's going to happen, at least this year. So, yeah, I just feel like maybe he should just go while he still has some value. He could be used a lot more somewhere like Boston, where they don't have a player of his caliber.
Yeah. Well, and I agree in one way or another. I tend to agree with both of those arguments because I think on one hand, if Kevin Love wants to stay and the Cavs want him to stay, that's a good matchup. most of this Kevin Love needs to disappear talk didn't happen until the finals. And that's because he's not good for the matchup against Golden State. That happens sometimes. So he's an unfavorable start versus one of the other 31 teams that you play. It just so happened to be on the biggest stage. So it looks like he's a choke artist, but in reality, he's just not a good matchup for Draymond Green or whoever. I mean, there could be a lineup with the Warriors where he's got Iguodala on him, or there could be a lineup where Sean Livingston. The Warriors have a 6'7" backup point guard, man. They have perfected positionless basketball. They can have a not undersized lineup where their center 6'8", their power forward 6'7". There's because Steph isn't terribly short and Klay's not terribly short either. So even when they go small, they still have some length and athleticism. So Kevin Love, he's not a great defender, but he's still – I think he's still a great rebounder. I think he needs to focus on that end a little bit. But that's the other thing is because of that perception in the finals, the bidding price you might not get a whole lot for him right now. I don't know, like, for instance, I don't know if Danny Ainge would get rid of Avery Bradley in return.
No.
Because, yeah, and then there's no guarantee that he stays wherever else he goes. He got himself out of Minnesota when he didn't like it there. So he's a guy you have to know before you pull the trigger that there's going to be an extension. And so he's a guy who, even without a no-trade clause, can almost sort of have his own little no-trade clause there. So I don't know. I think they'll keep him. I think they'll get back to the finals. But, I think wherever Durant goes, I think maybe it's his turn. And whatever it's going to be an interesting story, which leads us to the part that I know we've really all wanting to be discussing. And we finally have somebody else that can look crazy, not us, and we can just react on their supposed craziness.
Right.
And that is Mrs. MVP, Agent Aisha, bringing up the rigged NBA. And we love to talk about conspiracies, so I've been waiting to talk with you guys about this because there are 100 different arguments you can make about what level, if any of this is going on.
Right.
There are certain things that have been proven, like former referees fixing games. So that certain things have happened. Now, with respect to this incident, we watched that game together, Lou. Sean, I'm sure you caught Game 6.
We did.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really any substance into what she said in this instance about Game 6 being rigged as far as Steph fouling out.
Right.
Because they showed the highlights of his 6 fouls when he fouled out, and most of them were pretty obviously good foul calls.
Right.
Now, maybe did the Cavs get more foul calls in Game 6? Maybe. But to me, it was sort of like this whole Deflategate thing. I've told you guys, I've argued this till I'm blue in the face. I'm a Colts fan. Tom Brady could have been throwing Jell-O pudding that game. They still would have won 42-14. There's no way. It didn't matter. So if the refs maybe called it a little bit in Cleveland's favor, maybe it would have been a 15-point win and not, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that game was well in their control, and I don't think it caused it. But there's the whole bigger thing. We all have noticed how the NBA story seems to be just getting better and better each year.
Yeah. Well, I called this from a very early point on. 7 games and a 4-point difference is going to make the call.
Yeah, I was off. I thought it was going to be Warriors for sure.
I thought it was too.
If you follow this conspiracy rabbit hole far enough, it could get you take you to the idea of, well, they're reacting to social media as it comes in.
Right.
Like, oh, people didn't like seeing the Warriors up 3-1, so then the Cavs came back. Yeah. And I don't think it would ever go that far.
No.
But it brings up just an interesting argument of, with the way the world works today is some of this at least dramatized and dragged out. And what we were talking about as we were pre-gaming for this was the free agency market and how it used to be something that you would read about in the paper.
Right.
And then LeBron did his decision. And I think a lot of people were taking notes that day and noticed that, holy crap, this can be a spectacle, because that's the main goal for all these leagues, is to have news year round. You're not a year round sport, but you want to stay relevant. You want to stay in people's minds. And what better way to do that than to make this a public thing? Look at what we're talking about now. We're talking about all this.
Something a player's wife said.
Exactly.
That's the perfect segue in a lot of ways. That's, I think, I don't know as much as I think they rig things in the favor for ratings, if that makes sense.
Well, that's technically what she's saying. Money or ratings, not sure which.
Yeah, and let's be honest, ratings is money, because ratings means you can charge more for ad space and ad time. It's money's a very powerful influence.
Which, to her argument, this was the highest rated finals in a long time.
Since Jordan years.
Yeah. With the 96 one.
Yeah.
And it was, but then, it's tough. It's tough to say, because last year we had the same two teams in the finals. And and there were injuries. And so.
Well, but in addition to credit what you said, that's the better story. You had the grudge match that, remember, did you see the footage where the Warriors fan at the end of the championship last year was like, "How does it feel to be a pussy ass bitch, LeBron?"
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And you had this rivalry that started. Has Prince Curry stolen the throne from King James?
No, Prince Curry.
Yeah.
That dude will
and
be
that's
40
the
and
story.
look like a young Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a little baby face.
It is a good story. We've talked about that at times. It feels like sometimes like I'm watching the WWE when I watch the NBA or the NFL,
right?
News wise, and I know that there's been fixing in, there's been history of point shaving in college sports.
Almost every sport, there's been proven instances.
Yeah, and obviously the league wants what's best for itself. I don't know how far it could possibly go.
Right.
How do you, for instance, how would you
playoffs and finals?
How could you rig a 73-win season? How do you do that? And that's where cognitive dissonance comes in. Then you've got, once you find the details that make you believe in this theory, questions like that just sort of get ignored. Just sort of kind of rattled off as it's just part of it.
Exactly.
It's there's no thought process behind it.
Exactly.
That's just part of it. They're all paid off.
Exactly. You have to think about it, dude. These people, even some of the shittiest players still make more than what average Joes make, being average Joes. Right. And it's if you were a player in the NBA, and you're decent, you're healthy, but you're towards the lower end of the spectrum, you generally see more bench time, but it's a steady 6 figures.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really going to say some shit to get knocked out of that 6-figure bracket?
Do you guys think the Utah Jazz got paid a bonus to not play defense in Kobe Bryant's last game of his career?
Probably.
Because that guy looked like ass most of the season, and then in the last game of his career, he drops 63 points.
Yeah.
On a team that was a half a game away from making the playoffs in the West this year.
Yeah.
A young athletic team that was pretty good against his terrible team.
Right.
Did you guys ever watch? Did I ever show you? There's a 3-minute highlight reel of just Kobe Bryant's points in that game, and dudes on defense are just flying all over. Half of the shots he took were wide open. And I'm not saying. I mean, he still had to make the jump shots.
Well,
but,
yeah, but it's not.
I'm not saying they had it scripted out like Kobe's going to score 63 tonight. But I could see.
I think
somebody saying, "Hey, you guys will get a little
bit of a bonus to not play 100%. You know, how about you give it a 60% effort? Yeah.
And Kobe might not even know about it. You never know, Kobe, because of his ego, dude. He might have seriously thought he was out there balling. They could have just been up behind the.
Well, that's all part of the opera. That's all part of the opera.
There are people that are suggesting that Steph Curry, through this series,
I think he did
played poorly
to get Durant.
Well, that he played poorly because he was, the theorist essentially because that's what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because he had his turn last year, and
when the mafia tells you to sit your turn, you sit down and wait your fucking turn.
I wouldn't know, but everything in movie culture, movie mafia culture has told me that you are correct.
Yeah. That dude still has a lot of years in him. He's a very talented man. I think they're going to play out this Splash Brothers thing, and you think about it, this just sets up the rivalry even deeper. Now they're even on the championship keel.
Oh yeah, this could be our Lakers Celtics.
Yeah, of this decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because we haven't had that
for a while
since the 80s. I mean, they brought it back for a year or two with the Lakers and the Celtics, but we haven't had like a
good rivalry.
This one potentially could go for 2 or 3 more years, depending. But I'm not sure. You guys don't think? Oh, go ahead.
I know LeBron wants 2 championships in Cleveland before he's done, but I don't know if it'll happen. It'd be a beautiful thing, but I don't know.
That actually answers my next question. I was going to ask you guys if you thought LeBron would leave Cleveland if
I don't think
any
so.
Other opportunity.
People would literally burn his house down at this point.
Not necessarily, man.
We'll see.
Why? He gave them what they wanted.
But Cleveland fans are batshit crazy.
Yeah, they are. But
I like how you close your eyes, laugh, and grin. Yeah, they motherfucking are crazy. You had people wearing charred LeBron James jerseys and shit when he came back. They set him on fire and they didn't even throw him away. What the fuck kind of crazy shit is that? There's this jersey I spent a couple $100 on. I'm gonna set it on fire. Oh well, I can't buy another one, so I'm just gonna wear this charred ass jersey.
I don't know. I don't really, because I was gonna say too before you even ask the question. I don't think Cleveland's gonna get another ring. Not while LeBron's there. I would hope they do, just for his legacy. And I'm not a huge LeBron fan, but I do. He's a Ohio native, man. I like to see.
I like to see the hometown team win.
Same here. I like to see Ohio people succeed. So,
championships in Ohio. That's good. That's good for business. That's good for the economy in Ohio.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I'd really love to see my Bengals win the Super Bowl this year. I think that would be icing on a very, very tasty cake. Good level stuff.
That would be pretty sweet, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me. I'm not a Bengals fan either, but I'd love to see them make it, man.
It's gonna be the Patriots.
I should slap the fucking taste out your mouth.
That's not what I want. That's just how it's gonna be.
No, those are swear words. In that combination, in my house, those are swear words.
It's what's gonna happen if Tony Romo stays healthy. It's gonna be Patriots Cowboys, and it's gonna be the most American fucking Super Bowl in the history of America and Super Bowls.
America.
It's just gonna be.
Oh, I know. See, I know what you're hinting at.
Just America's team version 1 versus America's team
right.
version 2.
Right.
It's gonna be all star-spangled football.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I think I know what you're alluding to.
I'm alluding to America.
Yeah,
America's teams are gonna.
Fuck yeah, America.
Super Bowls.
Yeah, I know what you
It's
mean.
just there's some really talented teams
I see
right
what you're
now.
putting down on the floor, and I'm picking it up, Kevin.
You see what happens when you make Tom Brady mad. Don't make him mad.
He scratches his butt.
You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
No, seriously, if you can get under that dude's skin, you can get him slipping. All you gotta do is sack him a few times.
It's gonna be Patriots
Get up under those
over
panties.
Talk a little smack
Cowboys.
to him. I should get up off top of him.
Yeah,
That's right, bitch. Gotcha.
And the Colts
that's
are
some
gonna
tight
beat
boy
the
pussy,
Raiders.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
Sorry.
escalated quickly.
it did.
Lou just took us there.
I put the bad in bad dinner guest.
That is correct.
I'm the one who says the weird shit on the Twitter. I'll own up to it right now.
When Kev and I come to your table, we're just dinner guys. But when Lou joins us, it gets bad.
No, see, but that's the thing is we all are essentially in our own way because would be the worst party guest because I'm
You
the guy
talk
who
politics.
I'm the guy who gets drunk and asks you to talk politics and tells you why I think all human religion is false
Yeah.
and like wants to ask questions. Yeah, and wants to ask questions because I mean I went a little heavy-handed with the religion. I believe that over time all religions have been twisted a little bit to benefit people, and they aren't originally. We're not getting the original product.
There was a point where they were the government, so yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
when you spoke against the government, you were a devil worshiper.
yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm just the guy that like sits across the table and plays footsie with your mom. That's
Yeah.
what makes me a bad dinner guest. Just
Yeah.
a footsie guy.
I just realized this weekend because I saw some posts on Facebook. This time next year will be my 10-year high school reunion.
oh shit. Mine was this year.
And I am going to just ruin it for
this last
so
year,
many
sorry.
people.
I'm ready to go on to mine, man.
I didn't go to mine. It was last year.
Mine was Mifflin. Why the fuck would I want to go to that? Like, I
Yeah.
have no interest.
I keep in touch with them on Facebook. Well, I shouldn't say most of them, but like a handful of people.
And since you mentioned Facebook, we might as well mention that we have turned this podcast into more than just a podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. That's about it, really. I mean,
So far, yeah.
We got the blog, too.
We've got our blog, blogger.com. That's a big one, too. We post some articles, some short stories, all of these podcasts. You can find some of the photos from the last 2 weeks' podcasts. Ectogasms, part 1 and 2, from Waverly Hills Sanatorium. You'll be getting some photos soon.
And I'd like to do more adventures. We need to go on adventures. That would be nice to do some adventuring in the near future.
Man, chill
Yeah,
out,
so-
Explorer, man. Chill out.
So, yeah, please follow us on social media because we don't have ADD or anything.
No,
But, yeah.
I was trying to play footsies with Sean's knee.
Quit it, man. But yeah, also, Kevin, as you were saying, be on the lookout for the photos from the fight we filmed.
Yeah, as I was trying to say, I was trying to tell people about stuff we're doing, and he's like, we should go on adventures. Like, what?
Let's travel.
And I guess that is what makes us.
That's
us.
We need fuel for pictures.
Well, yeah,
New opportunities.
but you know,
Because that's also location scouting.
it wouldn't be bad dinner
So-
guests if we weren't constantly cutting each other off.
Exactly.
And with that being said, guys, Lou and I will be back tomorrow night to talk to you about some more real stuff. We haven't even settled on. There's so much going on that it'll be a surprise, I suppose. And I know Shawn will be back with us soon. And in the meantime, thank you, Shawn. It's a good time.
Welcome, sir.
It's a good time having you on.
Definitely, we'll have to have you back, man. I mean, we don't hang out nearly often enough, and that's kind of the best thing about doing the podcast is that it's us expressing ourselves and having a good time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. You guys are my boys. It's nice to do something productive while we chill. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you and I plan to open up more of these sports talks
Yes.
Lou and I get into some other things where it doesn't always feel right to talk about sports and then talk about ghosts right after that, or
paranormal stuff or
you know,
conspiracies.
Yeah, or talk about a conspiracy. But this one kind of worked. But Shawn, I look forward to having you come by soon. And with that, we will catch you guys later.
Wrap.
Hasta la vista. This was Lou.
That's a Shawn.
The next 30 minutes.
Oh, man.
Thanks to the following.
Hard fails.
Yep.
Hard fails.
Nighty night.